In one of my videos about replacing the caps of broken channel drains in a pool deck, I mentioned that I had filled the cracks in my deck and repaired those cracks and painted the deck. One of the viewers of that video asked me how I did that and what materials I used. So in this short video, I'm going to just talk about that repair and how it was done, and talk about the materials that were used. So this is my deck, my pool deck, and you may be able to tell in this video, in certain lights you can see where the repairs were done. This is just one of the cracks I had. I had some surface cracks as well as structural cracks. Now the structural cracks weren't significant. They weren't, giant open cracks or unlevel cracks, so I didn't need thick repair material or to, chop up the, the concrete and, completely replace it. What I was looking to do was just fill those structural cracks that were kind of thin, but where the water was getting down in the cracks and causing problems. And if I shoot across my pool, you'll see that I've got some spots where I've lost some tiles as a result of the structural cracks, and I still have to repair those tiles. Now it's been several months since I've done the repairs, but what I used are three simple materials, and they're great materials, and I'll explain what they are now. So the first thing is this Sika Pro Select Crack Fix. It's an epoxy. It's a structural epoxy. That comes in a tube that can be used in a standard caulk gun. So in the store, Home Depot, Lowe's, you'll find this, and it has, I think it's two long application tubes on the side that you take off and you can screw into the cap here. You puncture it, screw it in, and you'll see here that it's kind of an amber color. So this is an almost completely used tube that I saved just to remind myself what I used. And it's a great material. It's really, really good. So I did a lot of research on how to fill these kinds of cracks in pool decks, and I use this one because it actually seeps into the concrete and it sags a bit, meaning that if you have a crack running along the surface of your pool, you want to make sure that the material you're using goes into the crack and drops deep into the crack, and this will do that. It comes out kind of like a runny glue, and when you apply it, you simply put it in a caulk gun, apply it in the crack. You can go kind of quick, and you'll see it's kind of an amber, kind of a tan color. It seeps into the crack, and you'll have to do several applications. So you might want to get two of these, depending upon how many cracks you have. It'll seep down in there, go around your pool, doing all the different cracks. I had cracks all around my pool. Fill those cracks in, and then let this dry, let this seal and cure. So I let it cure for a couple of days, and then I came back and I used, and I don't have this with me, but I'll put a picture up of it, one of these places. I used a concrete mix, a standard concrete mix that you can find at Home Depot or Lowe's or any kind of big box DIY store. And what you want to do is you want to water that down more than you normally would. So don't use it like a normal concrete where you're going to fill a large area and let it set. Water it down pretty well. Put it in a bucket, water it down pretty well. Get a paintbrush and take that paintbrush and brush over the area of your crack. And what that does is, for a pool like this where you've got cool deck and you've got a textured cool deck application, it allows you to kind of create those bumps again, create that kind of textured feeling, so that it doesn't seem as smooth as it would be if you put just concrete down, just kind of laid troweled concrete down. It sort of matches the texture that you have in the rest of your pool. Now, it might not be perfect, and mine isn't, and you'll see now that it's 6 or 7 months after I've fixed these cracks. It's also kind of dirty and I've got to power wash again. But you can get that textured feeling. So you put that on, maybe do a coat or two, on the cracked areas, let that cure, let that dry for a couple of days. And then lastly, what I used is Dyco pool deck paint. So this is a special paint that's manufactured for pool decks. And what I got here was just called Tint Base. It's essentially white, and it's meant to, add additional colors to it if you wanted to, if you had like a gray, let's say, or a tan pool deck and you wanted to paint it. Now this is perfect for overpour pools, what they call overpour, which is this kind of retro style deck where it's, concrete that's poured up to the lip and just kind of an overpour. So I use this, and of course, after the curing of the cracks, the sealant, the concrete, I washed the deck again, made sure that there was no debris, and I rolled this on. And now you can read reviews, and some people will say it's thick, some people will say it's thin. I'll tell you, it's definitely thin. You can see it as you kind of wipe the paint off the side here. It's pretty thin. So you're going to need to do many coats. So I think I did maybe 5 coats. I went around the pool about 5 times. And that seems like it's a lot of work, and it really, frankly, is. It took a while, but the results were pretty good. Now you'll see now that it's pretty dirty, but this was, again, 6 months ago, and I just need to power wash. And in certain areas, I'll probably have to touch up the paint when I power wash. But that's it. That's what I did to fix the cracks in my pool. If you have larger structural cracks, you may need an angle grinder. You may need a chisel to kind of chisel out those, the cracked areas, and you may need a thicker sealant. But for relatively minor or thin, kind of hairline thin structural cracks, this is what I would recommend, the Sika Pro Select. Any of the surface cracks, any of the stuff that was not really going down into the concrete, but was just kind of the hairline cracks that you would see on the cool deck itself. So any of the cool decking where just the cool deck was cracked and not the concrete underneath, I just used the concrete mixture and brushed it over top of that, and that really just sealed it up again pretty nicely. Then I was able to paint. So hopefully this has been helpful to you, and for that viewer who asked, this is what I did. If this was helpful to you, please like and please subscribe. Thanks.